have a little different video today. One of the viewers of this channel had sent me an email asking me if it's safe to upgrade to the Toyota Tundra. He has a Ford F-150. So I got a couple of requests from viewers just asking me my opinion on which truck I would buy. So I figured I would go through them and see what you guys think. I'd love to hear also your comments, kind of responding to this email in a different way than I would. I think it helps viewers to get multiple different perspectives. So Micah sent this in. By the way, if you want my opinion on something, go ahead and shoot me an email to cars@thecarguyonline.com. But I'm thinking about turning this into a kind of a regular thing. He says, hello, I've been watching your videos and I'm looking for a new truck. I currently have a 2020 F-150 that I bought used with 19,962 miles. The transmission was replaced under warranty at 22,000 miles. Guessing he had the CDF drum issue. Now at 68,000 miles, the torque converter and the valve body needs replaced. This is what we keep kind of beating the drum on this channel about: General Motors and Ford 10-speed transmissions. And Nate from Next Gen saying, hey, upgrade the valve body because you're going to have problems later on if you don't. So he says, it's time to find a new truck. I've only owned Fords in the past. Can I trust a 2025 Tundra, or is it too soon? Which full size would you buy if you had to? I'm considering finding a 2020 or 2021 Tundra, but they are hard to come by and insanely expensive for the miles on them. Thanks. I would absolutely agree with him that the Tundras, the second generation and 2.5 gen Tundras, are insanely expensive, but there is a reason why, and it is just the durability in those vehicles. I don't know that we'll ever see another half-ton that has that kind of reliability record of the second-gen Tundra. Not really sure if the third-gen Tundra is a safe buy just yet. So let's take this piece by piece. Let's talk about the third-gen Tundra right now. As you all know, or some of you know, we have hopefully an insider interview coming up about what's been going on with the Tundra engines. Overall, people really do like the Tundra transmissions. They don't really have a lot of problems with the truck other than nitpicky things. There are things like it doesn't have tow hooks, as you can see here, just stuff like that. That's fixable things. But overall, everybody's wondering, is the engine safe in this? I would say that you have to stick with probably a 2026 or newer to be safe. And there's more information potentially coming. That's all going to hopefully come in a later video. I can't really say much about it now. I am still trying to work to get an interview done with some people that will hopefully shed more light on this. Safe to say, from my perspective, I wouldn't consider anything but a 2026 Tundra at this point, and I would feel slightly more safe that they've finally worked out some of the manufacturing defects. Maybe lease one if you're concerned about it at first, and then see if it's got a good residual and you can buy it after the lease. The deals on the Tundras right now aren't great either. They've been selling a lot of them. And the reason they've been selling a lot of Tundras is because exactly what the viewer put in this email to us. It is this problem with Ford, General Motors, everyone else. If I was looking at a new truck right now, I know this is kind of crazy, and I've never really owned or thought Ram was super reliable, but I really like the Ram RHO and potentially the standard output. I've been talking a lot to Barry from C-Tech, and TRD John has mentioned his new RHO. Tim from Pickup Truck Talk loves his RHO. Now, so far, the Ram RHO, whether it's the standard output or the high output version, I haven't seen a lot of issues from that inline-six twin turbo other than catalytic converter issues early on and some thermostat issues. But you'll see stuff like this where TRD John just got his RHO. He actually really likes everything about the truck. The interior is nicer. It's more comfortable. The truck is way overbuilt. However, the cost is super high. But if I was going to go for a brand new truck at this point, I might actually check out the RHO and just try to get the kind of the base. They're still in the $60,000 range though. So that's a tough pill to swallow. Now, that being said, I still would consider maybe a Ram standard output, the twin turbo. A lot of people love that, and you're getting the ZF transmission in the Ram. I think the transmission in the Rams right now is more reliable and will be long-term probably more reliable than what General Motors and Ford are putting out. Their powertrain so far has been pretty reliable. I love inline sixes. I think they're super efficient. I think they run great. They get decent mileage. They just have tons of torque. I've always liked an inline six. at least give it a test drive, compare it to the other brands. Really, if you're going Ford or General Motors, you're probably going to be spending an additional $1,400 to upgrade the valve body and the transmission. Then you could consider maybe something like the Baby Duramax. And Micah doesn't say how much he's actually planning on towing in here. But, you know, if you're getting something like the General Motors 2.7 Turbo Max, it's going to be very similar torque output to a 5.7 Tundra. It's just going to be a little bit probably more stressed than a Tundra 5.7 would be. If you're talking to me about something that is just ultra reliable, reliability is the number one and the only thing that you care about when buying a truck. You don't care about tech and features and whether it rides nicer or it's slightly quieter, has less vibration. The second gen Tundra is it. It's always going to be it, at least for me. They're just so reliable when they're maintained well. You really won't find many problems with a second gen Tundra that has been maintained properly. As long as people have done just basic stuff like rear diff, transfer case, transmission, oil changes, coolant changes. The coolant changes is a big one with the 5.7. If you don't have record of coolant changes, you definitely want to make sure you do it on your own. But the problem with the second gen is this, and that's what he says. They're just so stinking expensive. $34,000 for a 2018. There's a 2020. I mean, these are all just SR5s or SRs. I mean, you're up into the $35,000, $40,000 range, and they're already out of warranty. So I completely understand, you know, from that perspective, people saying, man, I'm not going to do it. And this is across the country. These are the cheapest prices I can find. Prices haven't started to come down on these yet. I have a feeling, though, if this third gen Tundra starts to kind of gain traction on the reliability side of things, and they come out and they maybe release some information that says, hey, we've finally identified all these manufacturing issues and we're going to be reliable from here on out. I do think a lot of Tundra buyers are going to convert to that new platform, the new Tundra. They like the ride better. It has a lot more torque. I mean, I love the 5.7, but at my elevation, 5,000 feet, I love turbos too. Or electric. I mean, it's just, when you get up 5,000, 10,000, 12,000 feet and you're towing, makes a big difference to have forced induction helping you out. I had another question come in on the forums on my website. By the way, I'm actually hoping to upgrade this website here soon. I have a lot of ideas that I want to do with it. I just haven't had time. He says, hey everyone, I find myself in the truck market after just over a year of driving a sedan. Had an F-150 in the past that completely crapped the bed at 200,000 miles. I need something that will pull about 10,000 pound trailer 10 times per year, and you'll use the bed regularly. Looks like a diesel or V8 gasser could do the job. I don't want a Ford again. The Rams are a little scary because they're electrical gremlins, and how that a small repair turns into a complete interior disassembly. The Chevrolets are appealing, but the only trucks in my budget are the notorious 8-speed transmissions. The other concern is budget, which makes the Tundra a bit out of reach. I'm looking at a 2019 Nissan Titan SV for sale, out of state, 60,000 miles, 4x4, 5.6 liter. It's a 7-speed. It's priced really well and should do the job. The other benefit is it's midnight edition and the truck looks beautiful. Are these good trucks? Budget is no more than $27,000. He doesn't want a truck that's already over 100,000 mile mark. So in this scenario, love to also hear your guys' comments on just responding to something like this. A 10,000 pound trailer, you know, if you're using a V8 gasser with that, you might want to start looking at that 6.6 from General Motors. That's a lot of weight. 10,000 pounds. I get that a lot of people will tow 10,000 pounds and just go slow. If you're okay with one of these older V8s going slow, like if you're around 400 foot-pounds of torque or 450 in a V8, 10,000 pounds is going to feel like a lot. If you're in a forced induction engine, it's going to feel better. That's just how it is. I mean, I love V8s for the durability factor, but for towing, nothing beats turbocharged, whether it's diesel or gas turbocharged. I mean, they're going to feel completely different, the towing experience. Now, 10 times per year, maybe it's not that big a deal. You're just going to have to prioritize that feel. Also, stability. If you're looking at a 3/4 ton, you may want to just kind of stick with that 6.6 liter style, or on the Ram side, look for the 6.4 Hemi and get the 2500. The stability is nice. You know, all these guys in these half tons are towing a lot larger loads nowadays, but I will say from experience, I still like towing a larger load with a 3/4. It's just a better towing experience, especially if I go up like towards Wyoming or something and I'm getting like 60, 70 mile an hour winds. I don't like that feel in a half ton. I get that the new half tons are more capable. I still like that heavy durability of the 3/4 ton when towing that much weight. That's just me personally. So you're going to have to pick. Rams, they've been pretty good with the ZF transmission. I would trust that ZF transmission over anything General Motors and Ford is putting out. You're just going to have to weigh out, is the powertrain reliable, and you're going to deal with some of those electrical gremlins. You know, what do you prefer? Do you prefer a super reliable powertrain? Kind of which way you're heading with that. Now, I do see some complaints on the 2019 Titan. From 17 to 19 on the Titans, they did have some issues with cylinder number 7, I believe. It was the knocking in the engine, and they would scope the cylinder, and they'd find that, like in this guy's case, they scoped the cylinder and there's a TSB to basically replace the short block. It was much more common in the 17, 18s, and apparently a couple 19s, very few that had this problem, but it's just something to consider. So if you're looking at one of the used 5.6 direct injection Titans, anything 17 and newer, I would scope the cylinders just to see, at least scope cylinder 7 to see if you have any scoring, and listen, at idle, listen for a knock. If you want to stick with the Titans, I've always had good luck with Nissans. I'm just trying to tell you that this is a potential problem with that year range of the Titans. I hope this helps someone else out. Hope this helps the people that actually posted these questions. Remember, if you do have any questions, want to grab my ear, send me an email to cars@thecarguyonline.com or post in the forums. For now, thanks for watching. Till next time.